Sonic 1 was a surprising movie. I went into it not really sure what to expect, except that most video game movies were just not good. The vast majority of them kind of turned out to be pretty embarrassing. Vast majority, not all. But when I went to go see Sonic the Hedgehog in 2020, which I was the first guy on YouTube to review it, I was pleasantly surprised, and I gave the good news that, hey, believe it or not, it's actually kind of good. It's actually sort of a good movie. Hard to believe, I know, but it was. And then at that point, faith was given that we could get a Sonic franchise in theaters on the big screen in movie format with Jim Carrey playing Robotnik slash Eggman and introduce more characters from the video games and create a whole series. Then came Sonic 2, which brought in, well, Tails appeared in the mid-credit scene of Sonic 1, but really became an ally in Sonic 2, and along came Knuckles as the main villain. So that worked out. Idris Elba played Knuckles. I still have not seen the Knuckles show, by the way. Let me know in the comments if it's worth seeing, please. Because I nobody's like told me it's must see. And usually when a show is must see, people will tell you. But now we have the trailer for Sonic 3. And I liked it. I did like it. Shadow, of course, being painted as the antagonist. Interestingly enough, I remember there being a report that came out a while ago that Jim Carrey would not be playing Eggman for a while. So the impression, and again, of course, Shadow was teased in the mid/post-credit scene of Sonic. I think it was the mid-credit scene of Sonic. He was teased. And, you know, the report had come out, and so the thought that I had in my head was, well, clearly Shadow will be taking the reins as the main villain of Sonic 3 with no Eggman. But then Jim Carrey said, no, I'll be Eggman again, and then here we are. In this trailer, he is reprising his role as Eggman. Now, Shadow was first introduced in Sonic Adventure. And there's a lot of elements in the trailer of Sonic Adventure here, but it also does still feel like a natural sequel to Sonic 2. Tails is still the one that's mainly the pilot with a helicopter in this trailer. They play up the fact that Shadow was a government cover-up who's now on the loose and Sonic has to help him. They also were playing up that there's this idea of Shadow having this sad backstory. Because in the trailer you hear a voiceover where they basically state that Sonic was able to find himself a new family. Tails, Knuckles as sort of similar characters to him. Even before then, you've got Tom and Maddie as like his real, new family. And you know what's crazy, yo? Like, before Detective Pikachu, I didn't think that a video game to live action movie would actually work this well. That movie kind of changed things. Before that, you had stuff like Roger Rabbit and Space Jam where you had cartoon characters interacting with real people. And those films are very innovative. I mean, they're to this day, Roger Rabbit. Go watch Roger Rabbit, yo. If you haven't seen that movie in a while, pop that one in and check it out. I know for some of you guys have probably never seen it, but that movie really, really changed things because they did things in that movie you couldn't even imagine being done before, even though it was done before. Disney did a few like Pete's Dragon, The Three Caballeros. They've also done live action mixed with cartoon. But when Who Framed Roger Rabbit came out, I mean, it was just of a much higher quality because they were able to really make it so that adults could appreciate it just as much as kids. And then Space Jam followed suit. But with video games, it had not really been done the same way, and yet it was done. That's because of how likable the script was, because of how likable James Marsden was as Tom. Like, he makes a good best friend to Sonic. We all want to be him because he's Sonic's boy. It makes sense. And that's his family now. So they're teasing that Shadow comes from, in this universe, somebody who's still looking for family. And then, of course, we have the return of Eggman who has to help Sonic. Now, looking at that trailer, I'm already smelling vibes of X-Men 2, X-Men United, because I just know. I'm sorry if this is an accidental spoiler. It's not, though, but I've watched enough movies to figure out that he's not going to really turn good. If anyone's going to turn good, it will be Shadow. And I think by the end of the movie, Shadow will be the enemy for the majority of the film. But like with Knuckles, by the end of the film, I think Robotnik will once again be the villain, and Sonic will have regretted bailing him out and trying to get his help. Especially with the fact that there's a very interesting reunion in the trailer where it looks like Robotnik is going to meet his grandfather, Gerald. And I'm going to make the prediction now that I think that he will end up being the villain alongside his grandfather, and they're going to have some kind of new gigantic machine or something, I don't know about something Death Egg-like, but they'll have something big where Sonic, Knuckles, Tails, and Shadow are going to have to work together. I can totally see them doing Super Shadow and Super Sonic, which was done obviously in the old Sonic Adventure game. The second one, that's when Shadow first came in, but also it was done in Sonic X. And I could actually see a situation in this movie where we do get Super Sonic versus Super Shadow. Again, these Sonic movies are more Dragon Ball than fucking Dragon Ball Evolution ever was. So, I do think that that's happening. Like, that's my prediction. Robotnik will be a villain by the end. Him and his grandfather will work together to conspire against Sonic. Shadow will realize that he's been toyed with, or that he's in the wrong, and will help Sonic. That's the way I see it. Now, what can they bust out with for Sonic Adventure 4? Difficult to say until we get more information about this one, but man, they are cranking these Sonic movies out a hell of a lot faster than I thought. The first one was 2020. The second one was 2022? So it's every 2 years. And this one's coming out, December? Right before Christmas. I will say my favorite moments in the trailer are when Shadow does that awesome choke slam. That was just cool as hell. Seeing Jim Carrey again being Jim Carrey from the 90s is great. There isn't much of the humans in this one. There's very little of them. It's sort of done to show like Shadow the Hedgehog. And of course, Shadow is being played by Keanu Reeves. Idris Elba and Keanu Reeves voicing Sonic characters is wild. Like, I would have never thought that would be a thing, but these are respected and beloved actors, and it's going to be great. It's going to be, I'm looking forward to the movie. The first two are a lot of fun, and they're good movies for kids and adults. So I'm looking forward to it. Those are my thoughts. Give yours, of course, down below, and we'll talk more about this movie as more time passes, and we'll go from there. Take care, y'all. See you soon.